What's up, guys? What is up, man? We've got an episode tonight that Norman and I have been looking forward to. We were able to talk to this gentleman back at the Classic and talk to him, and he said that he was willing to come on the episode with us. And so we're stoked about it. We got a bunch of questions for him. But, guys, if you don't know, I'm Colin Burnett.
That's right, Colin. I'm Norman Lee, but you know what? First, we got to take care of some business tonight, man. This episode brought to you by Bucked Up Energy, an all-natural supplement that will give you a higher level of energy and better stamina throughout the day without the harsh crash you receive with other brands, also helping to cut muscle recovery time along with boosting your endurance and libido levels. No matter what kind of physical activity you are into or just love spending time in the great outdoors, you need to check out Bucked Up. Go to their website at www.buckedup.com, and don't forget, make sure to use our discount code DECTALK20 for your instant savings. And again, go to their website, buckedup.com, and don't forget, use our discount code DECTALK20 for your instant savings at checkout. But all right, Colin, man, that's right. We got one heck of a show tonight that we are so stoked about, guys. But anyway, let's get right into this intro. And so far in his young professional career in the Elite Series and the Bassmaster Opens, he has 14 tournaments fished with, get this, guys, 7 top 10s, including 1/3, 2 seconds, and a win, becoming the highest or the youngest angler ever to win an Elite Series event and the youngest angler ever to qualify for the Elites at 18 years old. With a 30-point lead for the Angler of the Year race, he is destined to become one of the biggest names in professional bass fishing. Guys, I am talking about the one, the only, the phenom, Trey Mckinney.
What's up, brother? Man, Trey, when I talked to you down at the Classic and stuff, just watching you fish, period, has just been impressive. But then when I actually got to talk to you at the Classic and just to hear you, how you present yourself and stuff like that is just phenomenal. I mean, because when I was your age, I was stumbling through words. I did not want to talk in front of big crowds or anything like that. And you have, I mean, straight out the get-go, you have been just legitimately just a professional. And I mean, I don't know where you got it from, if it's from your parents or grandparents or wherever you got it. Kudos to wherever, but you have definitely have been a let's see, lost his video.
Could you still hear us, Trey?
No. He's trying to. It should. Sorry, guys.
You go.
Can you hear us?
You got me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. We just don't have no video.
Keep going farther.
And if you don't know, guys, just looking at the picture.
Yeah,
Trey, when he first came on, he is
what about now?
Right now fishing.
We can hear you.
Keep going that way. So let's sit here for a minute.
So Trey is actually out on the boat. If you could see the backdrop of his, you can see that he's sitting on his boat and he's out there fishing with a buddy of his. And so that's the reason why we got video of him. So we can kind of keep on going, if that's good with you.
Oh, my phone's getting hot.
I bet because it's in the sun. So, but he's out there fishing. He's trying to.
That's what it is. My phone's hot.
Yeah. So hopefully he can get it cooled off. But he's out there fishing, and we'll get him. He'll get on here as soon as possible, and we'll do like this. So Norman, let's real quick. Let's talk about a little bit. I went out fishing today, and I know people come on. They see that we're supposed to have Trey Mckinney on, but his phone was overheating because he had it sitting out the side. But So I went out on Chickamauga today. My dad went. I finally got. Let's see. There he is. Let's see. There he is. All right. Can you hear us?
All right, we good?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
This is the best service I've had, and I thought it was going to be good.
So where are you fishing at?
Smith Lake, Alabama.
Smith Lake, Alabama. So how is it that someone from Illinois, I know that, I mean, you grew up with a rod and reel in your hands, but how have you been able to, I don't know if it's going to be able to do it, Norman, with his phone overheating. So,
let's see if I can get it. AJ, do you have your phone?
Hey, Norman.
I'll text him and tell him if he wants to text us his friend's email address.
Yeah, and then text it to me. So, we could hear the echo, Dad. So my dad and I went out. I finally, Norman, was able to get my boat out on the water after it's been.
I'm screenshotting and sending it to you.
Oh, he sent it?
Yeah.
Okay. So we finally, I let a buddy of mine borrow my boat. Came back. My mom had a stroke. During that time, we had some bad weather. I went to go get my buddy dropped my boat off at my dad or my parents, and we so then when I went to go pick it up, we had bad weather. I had a bad seal in the lower unit. Water got into it, froze, and cracked my lower unit. And
Colin is sending your buddy the link.
And let's see. So I finally got my lower unit my dad and I went out and ended up my trolling motor was messing up.
Hey, Colin's emailing your buddy the link. Right. Not a problem, man. Yeah. Oh, man. That sucks, though, dude. But, yeah, Colin's emailing your buddy the link. So once you get that, you could hop on your buddy's phone. All right. See you shortly, buddy.
All right, I sent it. So, so I went out with my dad, and trolling motor would not work. And let's see, I'm going to go on and get that out. So we trolling motor wouldn't work. I sent it to a person. They said the trolling motor was fine. Put it back on my boat. It did not. There he is. All right. Let's see if I do it. Yeah. Looks good. It sounds better.
Okay.
So
there we go. We got Trey back in the house.
Yes. So how is it that somebody from Illinois can go to Texas and Florida and South Carolina, Oklahoma and stuff like that and be able to just dominate pretty much? I mean, how I mean, I guess like the question would be like how can somebody so young like you to be able to be so diverse in so many different things? to be able to perform like you perform at the big stage that you're performing?
So the main thing for me, where it really started for me learning, was the BFLs. So the main thing for me is when I first started fishing, when I first started going, anything else like that, I had about 3 tricks. And that was a jig, some kind of like Nico, and either like a moving bait, something fast. And that was pretty well it. You know, that was all I had. And I started fishing some BFLs, and, you know, first few, I made my techniques work. And around home, I could make it usually work. And I was like, man, should I step up in the opens? And I was like, okay, I'll do the opens. And finally got me talked into it. You know, that's a big step. I was like, I don't know if I want to quite do this. And I'm so glad I did, because, you know, it took so many steps along the way. And a lot of it was when I went in that first tournament, I had 14 pounds and I was sitting in like 60th. And I was like, whoa, I was like, how are these guys catching them? Like, what is going on? And I learned something new. And the next day I caught 20 pounds. And then I jumped back up in the top 20. And I was like, okay, I got to learn fast, like in a hurry. You know, like then it clicked. I was like, I got to get my arsenal bigger. I got to learn more techniques. And when you learn a technique, it's all or nothing. You know, you can't just like halfway. If you don't have confidence in it, you're not going to learn it. And that's what I really took with. And I was like, okay, if I want to do this, I'm going to go on the water with that one bait, and I'm going to figure out how to catch them on it. Or I'm going to go this one place, throw 2 things, I'm going to figure out how to catch them on it. And that's kind of what you got to do. And once you get confidence in those certain baits, you got it all over the country. Like, it sticks with you, you know. And then you see a right scenario, you're like, oh, that's what I need to throw. Or, oh, that looks familiar. Something like that. And that's what you really, or what I've really realized is like when I see something or I get a bite somewhere, I'm like, light bulb, you know, like, okay, this is why he was here. Okay, this like has a bunch of this. Now we just got to run it. And then you might run it a few times and it might lead you to a stray, or you might run it a few times and catch 4-pounder every other stop, you know. So it's kind of important to, when you want to learn something, take the time to learn. Like, if you're going to try to be good at something, try to be the best. You know, that's the best advice I can give for that, is really stick to one thing you're trying to learn.
Yeah. Now, how important is it for, like, let's say you're going and you're fishing a ledge, but how important is it for you to know exactly what your bait's doing while you're either jigging it or slow reeling it or whatever? How important is it for you to know what your bait is doing at that time?
So there's a bunch of different ways to look at this. So you're not going to see all fish on active target or live scope. You're not going to see all fish. It's not possible. It's not, maybe at one day, but it's not going to happen. You know, that's one thing. When they sit tight to rock, they sit on the bottom of a brush pile, they sit like that. Sometimes you're not going to see them. So it's kind of the same with, now, my presentation, I always want it to be the best I can, even if I don't see a fish or anything, because you can get surprised a lot quicker than what you think. You know, like sometimes you'll throw out there, say in current, you'll throw out there to where you don't even see a fish, and all of a sudden 40 of them come up off the bottom. You know, that's kind of the precious thing of when you see something, you're like, okay, usually what I like to do in practice is kind of throw my bait over it enough where if one on bottom, they can see it and they'll come up. So I just kind of hover my bait up off bottom and you'll see them shoot up. And it basically, so when you're saying presentation, it is important. Yeah. So like saying you're throwing a glide bait, say you're throwing a crank bait, anything like that, every cast you want to make sure you're doing as much as possible to get a fish to bite it. But, you know, certain little things like tuning crankbaits, making a jig trailer a little smaller so it falls faster. There's so much you can do to, like, help your presentation, so to speak, on certain lakes. But I do watch my bait a lot on active target, anything else like that. I watch it a lot. So when I cast out there, you know, I know what's kind of going on. Not all casts, but I know for the most part if something's getting ready to go down, for the most part. And that's a really important thing.
Yeah. Now, how important is boat positioning when you're fishing to find structure offshore for you?
Basically, that might be the most important thing sometimes. So a lot of times I'm even bad about it. I like to get somehow magically, I'll be fishing something and give it 5 casts and I'm like 10 foot from it. I'm like, I don't know why I want to get so close because I want to see everything.
Right.
And that's one thing that you got to be careful with, because a lot of these clear water fisheries, muddy water fisheries, however you want to look at it, it's really important for boat position to be in the best possibility chance. Say current, it's super important. I always drag my bait with the current every time. So that's a very important thing. Is boat position is very key.
Right.
Right.
Now, right now, I mean, you're leading the Bassmasters Elite and Angler of the Year. Now, would you rather win Angler of the Year, or would you rather come into the Classic, let's say next year, and just bombard the Classic and just take home the Ray Scott Trophy?
I mean, I'm just gonna say whatever's meant to be. I mean, both of them would be great, but
Right.
you can't get too crazy with it. But you got to set goals. But the bad thing is you never want to set. You want to set beyond goals, because once you get to a goal, a lot of people sometimes like, hey, I'm here, and then you kind of let down your guard. You might get maybe lazy, not lazy, but you just kind of get like, okay, I've done what I wanted to do. This is amazing. But then with that mindset, then you're eventually going to slow down. So that's one thing I want to try my best to do is, fish as hard as I can, fish every moment of the day, every minute of the day, trying to make an extra cast, trying to make an extra 50 casts than all the other people out there. That's kind of my goal, is even if I don't catch them, at least try to outwork some. That's right. A really important thing to me, is just kind of staying on it. And wherever the Lord leads me is where it's going to happen. And, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. Hopefully my goal is to have a long career, and however we can do it, is do it the right way. And it's really important to me.
Right. Yeah, now going into the first event of the year, Trey, at Toledo Bend, did you, day one when you're idling around waiting for blast off, did you kind of find yourself a little bit on the starstruck side when you're idling around, kind of going through your head, man, I'm out here with some of the best right now? And if so, how long did it take you to finally, get that focus and really start putting the hammer down? Because your first event you ever fished in the Elite Series, you almost made the top 10, coming in 12th. And but were you starstruck a little bit at first, being your first event? And how long did it take you to finally kind of like, this is my job, focus 100%?
Absolutely. So, of course, that tingling feeling in your stomach when you're idling around, you reading all the names on the side of the wrap is kind of it's intimidating. It's like, and the way I thought about it, I was like, everybody has a bad day. Some people have great days. Some people have mediocre days. It's basically, when I looked at it, I was like, I guess it was something with myself, and it was kind of just more or less, I just wanted to hold my own. Just kind of, I guess it was just for me, not proving to anybody else, nothing. I just wanted to try to prove to myself that, maybe I can do this. Just get that confidence level. It's not so much for anybody else or to show off, nothing like that. It's more or less to get confidence in yourself. Because when you're out there against the best of the best and you have kind of a rough day and everybody else just catches them, like they could throw a turd and just catch, 15 to 20 pounds. That's a really distraught feeling. Like, that is a feeling that you don't want. And some days it can kind of get you down. Like, man, it's like, was my 1 year that I had in the Opens kind of a fluke? Was I on a good run? How there's a lot of different ways you can put it. So basically the main thing was I just wanted to be able to make checks and just kind of prove to myself, like, if I do have a good day and it's meant to be, I can compete, right. When the timing's right.
Right.
Now, so far just this year, what has been the biggest learning curve that you have come across, that you've had to, that you really wasn't expecting, or something that maybe you was expecting but you had to learn quicker to be able to succeed like you have?
Absolutely. That was Florida and Murray. So, like, Florida, I've always been like, ugh, like no, we need to draw a line over it and be done. But
you're not the first person to tell us that.
Exactly. It's kind of it's a lot of people sometimes downside, and I really like that was the thing that kind of scared me was going into that and trying to figure it out, and it's just all flat, and it's just all you can't really use your active target or anything else like that a whole lot. And I figured out, thank goodness I did figure out a way to kind of do it. And that's the craziest thing is how this worked out. I was a shallow water guy from like when I first started fishing. I always had a jig on my deck, bushes, laydowns, whatever you could fish on the bank. I really never fished offshore. And ever since I got the scope, I was like, I gotta learn this. Like I gotta take this to another level to compete with these guys. Sometimes, like there's gonna be times where the bank's dominated, but there's always something that you can do relating to that to try to maybe even if I can go catch 4 fish on the bank and I catch 1 5-pounder on scope. That's what puts you over the edge. That's what brings you on top sometimes. So
right.
Basically, just trying to figure out my own niche is a really important thing, as well as Murray. So I made the All-American, and it was a blessing just to be there, fishing the All-American. And I was like, oh my goodness, I was so excited, hoping we're going to a shallow fishery and all this. And the schedule comes out and it says Hartwell. I'm like, oh. And that was a herring fishery. And I done terrible. Like when I'm talking terrible, I mean, I wanted to just sit in a room by myself for a while. But that was one of them things where when I saw herring, it made me kind of get sketched out. I was like, no, I was like, I don't know what I don't know. I couldn't figure it out. I could find them. I couldn't catch them at all.
Right.
I couldn't get them to bite. And they'd follow your stuff and all that. And at Murray, for some reason, it was kind of like a light bulb moment. When I figured it out, I was like, all I needed was just a little confidence, just a little boost of confidence. And that's what it really took to kind of push me over that negativity that I had with herring fishing, to really kind of boost that, to really try to learn it and figure it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because on Murray and stuff, like watching the bass track and watching it on TV and stuff, I was surprised like how many people was just power poling down off a point, and they were just waiting for them to start exploding, and they were just going to throw whatever out there in front of them and just hope that they catch one. And to me, I'm like how you are, that I'd rather be up on the bank. I'd rather beat a bank. I'd hit downfall, brush, docks, or whatever. But I'll throw 1,000 casts a day or whatever, and just sitting there, and I'm like, these guys are just wasting time. That's how I would feel. It's just like I'm wasting time just sitting here waiting on these herons and all that, and the bass to start exploding. And it was kind of crazy to watch.
It is. I felt the same way. So when I sat there power pull down, I felt useless. Like I was like, so what am I doing? And then if you cast, you mess them up. Right. And then you're like, oh my goodness, I'm sitting here, I got my rod in my hand, I'm watching the sun get higher and higher. I'm like, so I got 3 fish in the box, and I'm just sitting here. I was like, none of this seems right, like none of it. And for a minute, I got really, I didn't trust it. And then all of a sudden, I sat there and I come up schooling, and I caught like back-to-back 4-pounders. I was like, so this is why they do it. And then after I got confidence in that, this is like anything, it takes confidence for me on anything. I got to get confidence. I got confidence, I can throw it even if I'm not getting bit for that one bite. But main thing was just getting confidence in it. And it is deadly, because all of it is timing. So if you sit there for a long period of time, you have a better chance to hit that time, the zone. Right. So it's a very important.
And when I was watching live, I think it was Davey Height that was saying that right after your practice, you had made a comment to somebody, whether it was in one of your interviews anyway, that you've never really been good at the heron bite prior to that tournament. And as he was talking about this, as you're catching, I think one of your biggest fish of that day, and Davey Height goes, well, if you are pretty bad with the herring bite, you must be the quickest learner in the history of bass. You were pouring it on with that herring bite. But I just thought it was funny the way he basically said it. You made a comment that you're no good at the herring bite as you're like just pouring it on with that bite. And I thought that was incredible.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, buddy. Yeah, it was. It was a very quick learning experience, and I knew I had to. You know, I had to. And in practice, it wasn't that good. Actually, I take it back. The first day of practice was what really got me in that tournament. So I come and I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm like, herring fishing. Let's see how bad it is. So I go to the first point. I'm like, yay. I'm like, there they are. And I throw it out there and I reel it over the top of them and it goes, boosh. I'm like, wait a minute. Hold up. I was like, this is actually kind of fun. And I started going to the right points. Not that I was doing anything right. I hit it at the really right timing. They were biting that first day, but that's what I needed. You know, I had never had a day like that. And so I never thought it could happen. And once I was like, what could go down? Then I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I got to do it. I'm sticking with it. And this time I'm going to learn it. Because last time at Hartwell and all those other places on those herring fisheries, I tried to go fish docks. And you see 5-pounders all day long. They'll follow your stuff from underneath the dock, however you want to do it. And, you know, they're super hard to catch. And I got burnt every time. And this time I was like, I know this is how to compete. I know this is what I got to do. And I'm just going to do it. No matter the result, I'm going to stick with it and have confidence in it. And I'm so glad I did on that one. Because once I took a little learning curve and finding the points on what to look for and what cat.
Let's see. He kind of froze. Let's see. He should come right back. Yeah, Norman. This year has been phenomenal. Just being able to watch Trey fish and perform the way that he's performing has just been. I mean, it's been phenomenal, and no one would have ever thought that someone as young as what he is would come and pretty much, I mean, he's dominating.
You know, he's doing something this year that I really don't think in the history of bass has ever been done with somebody that young in his rookie year, that has so much potential to, like I said in the intro, you know, one day become one of the biggest names in the sport. I don't think it's ever been seen before, you know, in the history of bass, at least as long as I've been kind of following bass, which has been since the mid 80s.
Yeah.
But even when I was writing the intro for tonight's episode, man, you know, I had to kind of pick and choose with all of his stats. I mean, even from like age 16.
Well, there's so many.
At age 16, dude, he had back-to-back Angler of the Years in the BFL. For 1 year in the BFLs. And if you're not familiar with the BFLs, there's 5 tournaments in a season and a division in the BFLs. He won 4 tournaments in 1 year, in one season. And I've never heard of that even in the BFL level. I've never heard of that before in the BFL levels, winning 4 in a row.
Yeah.
And you don't realize, even at the BFL level, you are fishing against some, I don't care what division you're fishing against, some hammers to win 4 in a row. And I started writing his intro, man, and I'm running out of
paper.
So I kind of had to pick and choose. But his stats is just unbelievable, even from like 14, 15, 16 years old until now.
Yeah, and I mean, just to be able to see, I mean, because if just to watch this year's fishing and to see, you could see that he has grown in the 4 events that are 5 events. He's grown so much, and it has just been phenomenal to hear, like, even him, he's talking about, like, you got to have that work ethic, you know. I mean, you don't set permanent goals or whatever to where once you get to them and stuff. But let's say this is trying to get back on it. There. Oh, I bet that phone's getting hot too.
We are in full-fledged summertime with the heat right now, boys.
Yeah. And so, I mean, because I think we got up to 84 today, and if he's on Smith Lake. He probably got closer to 90. But I mean, Norman, it's just been. I mean, he's probably on cloud nine right now. I mean, coming in, he's living a dream and being able to.
And one of the my favorite things about Trey, and the reason I became an instant fan of Trey's, is really at such a young age, the way he's able to carry himself on and off the water, and off the water is key. Is a key word right there, on and off the water. Because if you just listen to him without the video, just listening to audio of Trey during interviews, I mean, you would think he's a 15-year vet. He's doing this at such a young age, and that's what's so impressive to me about Trey. And I think back to when I was 18, dude. I wasn't near close to the maturity that Trey is at 18, dude. And it's just, I mean, to me, he's doing something that we've never seen before in the history of BASS, and we might never see it again. But you hate to say that because, but you never know. I mean, he's doing something that I don't think anybody has seen to this point with professional bass fishing.
Yeah,
he's trying. We'll get him back on here in a second.
Yeah, it's trying. I could see that he's trying to get on there. So, but I mean, you are exactly right. I mean, just to be able to, how he presents himself is so professional.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's been phenomenal to watch. It's been very enjoyable, and I want to talk to him about fork. And as soon as he gets on here, that's what I mean. I mean, because let alone winning, and then winning and getting a century belt.
And that century belt too, with over 130 pounds, he was like 1.9 pounds off of the all-time biggest weighed in a 4-day event. Right under Paul Elias had like 31 something. So he was like 1 pound off of the biggest weight ever.
And that's Paul Elias. I mean, that's a hammer in himself.
Paul Elias, one of the legends of the sport.
Yeah. And so, and then to come and be able to perform and do that, and then you got some people that I guess I would call them haters and stuff like that. Well, anybody can go out there and catch 30 pounds, and go do it. Go do it.
Yeah, I'll put that challenge to anybody out there. If you think that's so easy, go do it yourself, because sometimes what you don't realize about a professional bass angler is they have to do it on certain. You can't just pick and choose what day you hit the lake. You have to do it no matter what the conditions is. If it's blowing 35, 40 miles an hour, you got to be out there catching them with the best of them. So yeah, I'll put that challenge to anybody. If you think you can do that, go do it, dude. Because my hat's off to you, but I guarantee you're gonna have a different story at the end of the day. But not only talking about that Lake Fork, what was so impressive about that, not only that he won that event, but had 30 pounds each day.
There he is.
And I think one of his biggest days, he's back. We're just talking about your Lake Fork event. We got Trey.
That was a special one.
But we want to talk about that a little bit real quick.
Yeah, because I wanted to know, because you had a camera guy on there and they weighed you had one over 11, and was it the camera guy or the marshal that says, hey, do we need to measure to make sure that one's 24 inches?
Yeah, that's what I didn't know, because I was just going to release it. I didn't even think about it. I don't know what was going on. I was so fired up in the moment. I was just waiting, and I was going to release it just right back into the lake. And he's like, whoa. I'm like, what? I got to release it. And he's like, just make sure it's not 24. I'm like, oh. And I put it on the board, and it was like way over 24. I was like, good call. I was like,
I mean, and was fishing Lake Fork as a spectator watching you cross the stage and stuff, and all the other anglers, and just seeing them to have a fish or just one, was kind of weird in bass form, because usually you got five that you're carrying on. Was that a little different for y'all too? Like it just kind of felt a little odd or something like that.
It was, but at the same time, it was kind of nice. Like it was kind of really nice because you didn't have to worry about nothing. I didn't have to worry all day if my fish were gonna make it or if they were doing all
Right.
right. Weigh them, put them back, and it's done. It's over. Like that was kind of nice, honestly. I mean, it's definitely different, but it was nice. It really was.
Now, we talked about your first event on day one. You know what the thoughts that were going through your head. Now let's go all the way to day four on Lake Fork. You're in contention now. You're right there to win your first event to pull something off really that's never been done before. A super special end of the day. What was going through your mind? The emotion again, idling around, ready for blast off on day four, knowing, man, all you got to do is do what you've been doing the previous 3 days, and you could do something special.
Absolutely, it was one of them things where I was like, I can't think about it. Well, I didn't. That week was a really rough week because I didn't eat. I didn't. I ate once a day at supper because I woke up. I tried to sleep as long as I could. Got to the deal, had me a Red Bull and a Twinkie, and that lasted all day, every day for 4 days straight. And I'm telling you, after it, when I got done with everything, and I just like sat down, like I just just crashed like so hard, and it was crazy because a lot of people don't realize how mental it is. Like when you have so much on the line, and I realized that because I was like, leading it, I was like, oh my goodness, I was like, what am I even doing? Like, no, like it's not. I didn't even feel like it was real. I still sit back and think, like that actually happened. It's still an unreal thing because I didn't expect nothing like that. I knew I liked the lake, and I caught a 9-pounder in practice, my first stop, and I was like, wow. I was like, this could happen. I almost had 40 pounds on my first day of practice. I never hook them, but it was almost too fun. And I was like, what is going on? Like it was just clicking. Everybody say when it's your tournament, you'll know.
Yeah.
And when I caught that fish on the jerk bait after I broke it off, again with jerk bait in his mouth, I was like, right then, I was like, could this be it? Waiting for that sign from the Lord. I was like, no way. Like when that happened, I was like, is this it? Like I was like, is it going to happen? And it was nerve wracking because that's a tournament that you can't let off. Like you could have 35 pounds and there's still a chance you could get beat. Sounds crazy, but there's still a chance you could get beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you ever expect like your first? I mean, because I know that you knew that I'm gonna win in the elites. But did you ever expect that you will have that much weight and break the century belt on your very first tournament that you ever won?
I really did not. And when I realized that, I was like, going into day, what was it? I think day. I had like 97 pounds day three, and that first fish I caught day four, and it put me at like 100 and something. I was like, this is unreal. Like, just to be able to do that. And then once I
Yeah.
got done with the day, I realized like I lost one the day I just had 30 pounds. And it could have like, just to realize like I lost the fish that could break the all time record was unbelievable. Like,
Yeah.
that's one of them things that no matter who you are, you might not ever have another shot at.
Yeah.
And just to be that close and just to be able to catch it as many as I did. And I think they done like an average, of whatever fish I weighed. And I think it was like 6.5 pounds, something like that. Like, that'll never, that's a once in a lifetime deal.
Yeah.
And that's why we got to cherish that because that place is unbelievable.
Yeah, and they have managed. I mean, because that lake has within the past 10 years. Has exploded pretty much, and
Really?
especially with all the pressure and stuff that it gets, and it's still producing the big fish that it's doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's like I talked to the biologist after we got done, and the work and the time they put into that place, it's amazing. You know, I wish every fishery in the world would do that. You know, some states it's not in the budget or anything else like that, but it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like when you go to a fishery like that with that slot, it's unreal.
Yeah. And I was going to say, other states need to kind of fall into the same thing that Texas is doing with that slot limit, because within, like you said, Trey, within the last 12 years, you could just see what that one fish allowed to have over 24 has done for that lake as far as how good it is now. And, like you said,
Absolutely.
other states need to kind of take the lead with what Texas is doing, because that lake is just unreal right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, it might not take that much sometimes. It's just kind of, maybe stocking or putting shad or however they do it. I don't really know. There's a lot that goes into it. The minerals in the water. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes into it. And, but like in pre-practice, I went out there and I'm telling you, I caught a good amount of fish every day, every average, like 25 to 30 pounds. And I never, like, when I'm telling you, it was harder to catch a 2 to 3 pounder than it was a 5 or 6. Like, that's not sounding like like crazy. It's just the lake. Like, really, that lake is unbelievable. When I was there for pre-practice, it was just so, like, if you got a bite and you lean, you're like, how big is this one? Like, you didn't get many bites, but every bite you got was quality.
Yeah. Yeah, we have, let's see, Dale Croft says, he commented and said, Cream always rise to the top. Plenty more blue trophies coming, forward facing or not. So we definitely agree, Dale, that there's going to be plenty of more blue trophies that we're going to see Trey holding up over his head. So, but guys, he is out. I mean, y'all can tell that he's out fishing, and he'll get back on here in a minute, and then we're already at 42 minutes, so we'll try to wrap it up with him pretty soon. We got a couple more questions that we want to ask, and then but Matt, he's right though, and you were right too, that about Lake Fork, Norman, that slot limit, I think, really is the best thing that any kind of wildlife people can do for a lake, and especially for a lake that has big bass in it. I kind of wish that they would do the slot limit here on Chickamauga, just for the fact, because I would love to be able to see more big fish. I mean, we're out there all the time, Norman, and Chickamauga, I mean, never slows down. There's always people out there that's fishing, and them fish are getting hammered, and whatever they're doing on Lake Fork, because Chickamauga's getting
they're
hammered.
Doing it right.
Lake Fork is getting hammered probably twice as much, if not more, than what Chickamauga is.
Exactly, but it's getting better every year versus declining every year. Now, even though Chickamauga is still a great fishery, a great big bass lake, I mean, you got to face facts. Since BASS put it top 2 in the world 7 years ago, I believe it was, it has declined because now it's a bucket list lake and it's getting the pressure. Yeah. But that's one thing with Lake Fork. Lake Fork is actually getting as much, if not a lot more pressure than Chick, but it's increasing. It's its quality per year versus declining, which I think a lot of that, or the majority of that, probably has to do with the way they're managing the lake with that limit as well.
Well, and with on Chick though, I mean, we had like 10 years solid that we were having every professional tour come on to Chick, and whenever you have one tournament, professional, like elites or whatever, or the Bass Pro Tour, they hammer a lake. so
yeah.
he's trying to come right back on. Let's see if it's going to work. So there he is.
It keeps overheating. I don't know what's going on with it out here.
Well,
I'll try to put it in the shade now.
you're good, brother. You're good. We won't hold you too much longer. But I do want to ask, what's...
I apologize for everybody on here. Honestly, that's all my bad. I should have got off water and got somewhere cool where it wouldn't overheat.
Nah, you're good, man. You're good. I mean, even with you cutting in and out, we still have over 1,400 people watching this live. So you're fine, brother. So
thank you, buddy.
But I want to know. I mean, last year, the rookie class last year, we thought that there would be no other rookie class that could compete with what last year's done. And then y'all come up on the stage and y'all like, well, watch this. You think that was good? Watch this. And I mean, I don't think that there's a rookie out there that, I mean, has not been tearing it up this year. What's the difference, or what is it that how are y'all able to perform like y'all are? And I mean, all of y'all are professionals, and all the like talking to y'all, that it's just everything is strictly professional and y'all are doing y'all's job. So how are y'all able to perform like y'all are this year?
It's a hard thing to say because everybody has different road they take anything, do something a little different, anything like that. So basically, a lot of it, is being on the water so much as we are. Like right now, like JT, I'm saying these last 4 years, he's put in a lot of time, a lot of stuff, learning different kinds of water, doing different kinds of water, throwing different baits, all this other stuff, he's got so much more knowledge than I've got, and he's an incredible fisherman as well. And all the other rookies, John Garrett, all them guys, they've had so much time on the water, and that's kind of the key, is just being able to learn stuff and knowing when something happens, what to do with you for it or react with it. Something like that is when something happens, you've got to have something to either counter it or know what to go do from it. So that's
Right.
kind of an important thing is, as much as you're on the water, I haven't been home since January, and that's a part of it. That you're gonna be gone so much, you're gonna drive more than you fish, and I kind of laughed it off. I was like, oh, whatever, and now that I realize like how much it, of not so much of a what's the word for it? Kind of like a you don't get to live a normal life. Like just going home and just seeing your family, seeing your buddies, seeing stuff like that. There hasn't been any of that. I've just been on the road. I haven't seen my dad since fork and everything. So there's a lot of sacrifice that comes with it.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. You get to travel all these different places and everything else like that to learn. But that's when I took part of it. I was like, we have a shot at this angler of the year. We're trying to learn, and the only way I want to learn is if I get out there, learn the time or figure it out. And it kind of helps me as well, just getting confidence in an area or a place going. So I guess a lot of it, I would say, is reason is how much time we spend on the water. A lot of us got some really good people, my family backing me. Stuff like that. It really is. It's amazing, and just meeting the right people. Sponsors wise, sponsors have been incredible. That they like. The sponsors I have, like St. Croix, FXR, Strike King, really great folks. It's amazing to see them. They're super good guys. I love the kind of the family of it. Just that's kind of how I've always felt. It's different when you get in a sponsorship that's kind of like a corporation, or not a corporation. They're just it's more of numbers. And when you get into a sponsorship that you actually like, if I have his phone number and I just call him up and be like, hey, what's going on? How's the family doing? Stuff like that. That means a lot to me. That means a ton. Just having that relationship with your sponsors and everything else. But a lot of it's time on the water, I feel like.
Yeah. Now, we here at Deck Talk, we're 2-0 when we have called the past two wins that Patrick Walters, he's been on the podcast. We called that he was going to win one of the last two tournaments last year, and he won the last one. And then he was on again, and I called that he was going to win here in the next couple tournaments, and he won. So I'm just saying, we've got good odds in our favor when we've called tournaments, and I'm just going to say, guys, within the next there's 4 tournaments left. Within the next 4 tournaments, we're going to see another blue trophy over Trey's head. I'm just saying. So, and if that happens, Trey, can we get you to come back on? I knew it as soon as it froze. But but Norman, we've had good success when we called them. We've said that they were going to win, and Patrick Walters, we're going to get him back on here again, and he told us last time that if he won one of those, that he may be our next co-host, the third co-host on this podcast.
We might as well keep rolling, right?
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's.
There he is.
Oh, hold on. I got to switch him. He switched back over to his other phone. All right, there you go.
We're playing musical phones.
We're back right now. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So I don't know how much you heard of what I said, but we've had Patrick Walters on twice.
Yep.
And I've called last year when he was on. I told him that he was going to win one of the last 2 tournaments of the year, and he won the last one. And then he was on right after the Classic, and I told him that he was going to win one of the next couple tournaments. He was going to win at least one of them, and he won one. He won the last one, and so I told everybody right before you right as you was cutting off. I told everybody that there's 4 tournaments left in the year,
yes,
and
sir.
I told him I said within one of them 4 tournaments, we're going to see a blue trophy up over Trey's head again. So if that happens, yeah, I mean, because I'm looking to be undefeated. I mean, you're looking to, your work ethic is so good and all that, and you're trying to succeed in that. I mean, we're trying to succeed in the podcast industry, and I'm trying to succeed also in calling my shots on. I mean, I might need to just go on and just call Vegas on this. So, but
no pressure, right?
Right, no pressure. But if that happens, we got to get you back on the podcast again. So,
absolutely. Like I said, I do apologize to everybody on here watching. Or say it's like super hot out here, but we trying to figure them out. This lake here is interesting. So like I will say, a lot of these lakes we're going to, these last 4, they're in not Trey's so much wheelhouse, but we're learning. We're trying. All right. I say we're out here on the water right now, and we've caught a few. Had a really good day today. Caught some 3-pounders, 4-pounders, which are like unicorns for this lake. Like 12-inch heaven here.
right.
But it is. It's we're trying to stay positive, and smallmouth. That's a crazy thing. Last year I finished like 88th in St. Lawrence. And I was like everybody else was like, oh, this place is loaded with 5-pounders. I went like 5 days of practice, 2 days of tournament, and I never caught a 5-pounder. I was like, I'm doing something wrong, and I got to figure out what it is quick. So hopefully we're going to go up there. The same thing is kind of pre-practice, and I think the way it is, I think since we got 2 up there, I might pre-practice and then start going to other smallmouth lakes to kind of get confidence in smallmouth fishing. So I might stay up there for the rest of the time and see what happens and see if we can kind of figure out those small jaws, the mean ones.
Yeah. And nothing but footballs is all I want to see. So
it's long and that wide.
That's it.
Right.
So now, and I just want to say, anytime that you come through the Chattanooga area and you want to hop on Chickamauga, just holler at us. We're on there 4 or 5 times a week, and we'd love to be able to take you out and maybe put you on some of them Chickamauga Giants that we got out here. So, but
that sounds about right. That place is the only time I've been at it is bed fishing. Like that was really fun, but
it just got over.
Kind of like ledge fish. So that'd be really awesome to come down there and learn.
Yeah. So, well, you got our numbers, and you know how if you're ever coming through this way, you'd holler at us. But we don't want to hold you up because I know if I was sitting on my boat and my buddy was trolling around trying to catch some fish, and I've seen all them docks and stuff like that y'all have gone by, and I'm like, how is he not fishing? And so we've got over 1,500 people watching on 9 different platforms that we got this going live. And can you tell everybody like how, if they're wanting to follow you, how can they follow you? What social media and stuff are you on?
Absolutely. So, main thing is like Instagram, Facebook. It's Trey McKinney Fishing. We're trying to keep it all fresh stuff. We're trying to kind of like do everything, show the little techniques, kind of follow around, I really want to get into like the everyday life type of stuff. I feel like that would be really cool on a platform, but we're getting in there, posting a lot of cool stuff, hopefully, a lot of the new products coming out, everything like that. So everything that should be going on, we should be posting some stuff. So it's going to be really fun. Hopefully y'all can tag along, see what happens. Yeah. I say there's no promises on the blue trophy, but we got to set our goals high.
Oh, so I'm looking by the end of the year. I'm looking to be 3-0. So
there we go. Absolutely. I wish I was like, as one at the time I cut off my buddy. I was like, what is I have and oh my goodness. And I look.
I knew it was about to. I knew it. Hey, Norman. So what we're going to do, guys, is when he comes back on, Norman, let's go on and ask him our last question. Let's let him get back to work. And it's been a blast, even though he's been cutting in and out because his phone, again, he's out on the boat. You can see him trolling around. There he is.
Yes.
So, well, Trey, we did not hear what the last part that you just said.
Oh. Miserable. It keeps overheating every time.
Yeah. Well, we can hear you, but we cannot see you. But that's fine. Oh, he's trying. He is trying hard. If he's ever in the Chattanooga area,
hang on one second.
We're going to have to buy him dinner, Norman. So,
man.
But yeah, Norman, if you'll go on and just once he gets back on here, let's ask him. Let him get back to work.
We'll finish this up. Stroking some Smithy Giants. 12 inch.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard he's got ice. I heard that. Did you hear it?
I heard the ice, yeah.
He's putting ice on around the phone, I guess. So, but yeah, let's do that, and because we're already hitting right at an hour, anyways, and we'll man, it has just been great just to be able to talk to him. I mean, and y'all can see, guys, that how he's just laid back. Well, in our eyes, Norman, he's a kid. But but how he handles himself and how he talks and presented himself. Is every time that we've talked to him and stuff, he's always been professional. And so, it has been phenomenal.
It's been a blast. It's been a blast to watch him, go through, on the Elite Series coming up, and he's got to face facts, man. Even from age 13, he has just people that knew him back then knew this is where he was going to be today.
Yeah, well, we had Dale comment and say never doubt Trey McKinney in a tournament. He has had that look since he was 11. Hard to believe, but ask any bass fisherman that knew him.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of professional anglers, I don't care what sport it is, that when they're 11, 12 years old and people that know them, not even family members, but acquaintances, friends, friends of the family, just people you talk to, see on the water, there's not many people out there that you could say about a 11, 12 year old kid that one day when they're 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever, they are going to be special at that
Yeah.
sport. And Trey is one of the few that when he was that age, man, people just seen it in him that
Oh yeah.
he's going to be great one day.
Oh, I mean, if he just keeps doing what he's doing, the hard work that he's putting in, could you imagine being his age, Norman, and not going home or not been home since January?
And what a lot of people don't have to realize too is that it's not used to what the professional anglers in the sport go through on a day-to-day basis. You could almost consider them big rig drivers, over the
Yeah.
road big rig drivers, because they're actually driving their rigs, pulling their boats a heck of a lot more than they're actually on the water fishing with them.
Yeah.
And it pretty much starts from the first of the year all the way through the end of the season. And what he was talking about spending time on the water after the end of the season, it doesn't stop for them boys.
No,
They basically have to keep fishing different lakes all year long during the off season to keep their game up, to keep their game at the highest level. So going into the next season, they're right spot on starting off the year.
yeah, and I I drive a big truck for a living, and they put in just as many miles as what we do and stuff. So he's trying, but maybe this one will get him. But it's just there he is. Let's see. All right, we might have 5 minutes. We got you, brother. We got you.
Yeah, I apologize. It's so aggravating. Anybody that sees it, they're like, "Oh, why did he go in the house from there?" I don't know what's going on with it. My phone, it's like the battery. Like I try to charge it, and it just catches on fire. It's so hard.
No, man,
Yeah,
it's all good, man. And we appreciate you just taking the time. And like Colin said, man, out on the water, if it was me, I don't know how you're doing it. Not picking up a rod and wanting to fish, dude. But we
It's
really,
all good.
man, we really appreciate you taking the time with us, dude. And we really, from the bottom of our hearts, man, we have the utmost respect for you, how you carry yourself on and off the water, dude. It's just amazing. We can't wait to look forward to seeing how the rest of this year progresses for you going into next season as well. But we have a question we usually ask everybody that comes on the podcast and everybody we interview. And if you were to have one person that you were able to fish with, and this person could be passed away or still with us, Trey, who would that person be, and why would you want to spend the day on the boat with them?
I think it froze up again.
Am I here?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm trying to hurry. It was mostly Rick Cheatham's been a really special part of my life. I've had some really good friends, and as you guys can see on here, I have some Dale Croft as well. He's actually the guy I started fishing with first, and I went crappie fishing with him, and I'd always take bass rods, and he'd be like, "Oh, son, you don't need them bass rods," And I started catching one. He's like, "Oh my goodness," like catching them off the crappie brush piles we were fishing. So them two guys has been a really important role of my life. Rick Cheatham took me everywhere across the country, and nothing to benefit him, and he was just trying to teach me and make sure I stay on that right path and kind of follow the straight line. And it was really important to have people like that in my life that cared about if I did do something the wrong way. They're like, "Trey, I'm not telling you how to do it, whatever else, but I like this. Right? I'm telling you." I was like, "You need to walk that straight line." And then from you look at what you just done, and you're like, "You're right," like you're right. And that just to make people that sit back and realize and that you respect and tells you like, I'm not telling you how to live your life, but I'm telling you this from my words of wisdom. You know, I've been your age. I know what, you know, there's temptations out there, everything like that. And it's really important to have those people that you respect in your life that kind of guide you on the straight path.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. And I'm glad you mentioned Rick Cheatham, because I actually have his name down to have you talk a little bit about Rick, and we're kind of running out of time. But I'm glad you mentioned him, because I did want to talk to you about him. And you know, you've talked to him many times about him being a mentor, a friend, a coach of yours. So I'm kind of glad you actually mentioned him there. Because that actually is one of the things I have on the list. I wanted you to talk a little bit about Rick, because I know how much of importance he is in your career to this point. So that's awesome, dude. Really appreciate that.
I think we lost him again. So, guys, with that being said, we're going to wrap this up. And we deeply appreciate the 1,500 people that has got on here just to watch us chit chat with Trey. And we cannot thank y'all enough. And if you could share this episode, I know even though Trey was going in and out, he had phone issues, but I mean, this was a phenomenal episode. Being able to talk to him and get his point of views on things, and kind of see how he his mindset on different tournaments and different things, and just being able to talk to him has been phenomenal. And if you could share this episode, we would deeply appreciate it. And Norman, you want to tell them real quick who we have coming on next week? And we got another bangers coming on.
Yeah, guys, you don't want to miss next week's episode. Joining us will be two-time Red Crest winner Dustin Connell is going to be joining the show, as well as back-to-back Red Crest runner-ups Alton Jones Jr. is going to be joining the show next week. So, again, it's going to be an episode you guys don't want to miss. And catch it next Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as you could catch us each week, every Thursday, Eastern Standard Time at 6 o'clock. So don't miss next week's episode with Dustin Cornell and Alton Jones Jr.
Yes, and make sure you go to Deck Talk podcast on YouTube and hit that subscribe, or not subscribe, what is it? The follow, subscribe button, and different platforms, different things. But and even on Facebook, if you will follow Deck Talk podcast. We're trying to grow. Trey's trying to get back on here, and we have had phenomenal numbers to where, I mean, we're averaging 500,000 to 600,000 views per episode here since January, and so it has been phenomenal. So, guys, thank you so much. And Trey, if you can hear us, thank you, brother. We'll holler at you here in a little bit. And thank you for coming on, Trey. Dale, thanks for coming on and commenting. We had quite a few comments, but I knew that Dale had to have known Trey just because of what he was saying. But we're going to get off here. Fat Boy is hungry, and I know Norman's hungry. And let's go on, get out of here, and let's see you out on the water, and hope you live the passion.
Live the passion, and also make sure to check out our website at www.decktalkpodcast.com for all the latest news and information.
That's it.